September 30th, 2024, Canada, baby. Today is National Truth and Reconciliation Day in Canada for all the Indigenous people who experienced oppression, for a couple centuries, I would say. Tent City weather report. To be honest with you, I don't really know. The mornings are chilly as well as the nights, okay, but milder than normal this time of year, I would say. But still chilly, still damp, okay. You might want to get the tube. Winter is approaching. What is it? Tomorrow is October. On that note, temperatures are supposed to rise to more seasonal or above seasonal conditions, and it's going to be, I think, pretty warm out there today, okay? And I hope that you guys like the song that I posted, the Indigenous group, New Gillen, I don't know, Indigenous group from Grassy Narrows, and boy, that was good. Go over my Facebook page and see what I've posted. We could, but then again, you could do your research, okay? I primarily want to discuss Indigenous people today and focus on the Indigenous people, and I have a few chicken scratch notes, okay, from what I have seen, in my 4 decades going around the sun. What we know, I don't even have to look at the chicken scratch notes, okay? What we know, women, missing Indigenous women are murdered, okay? Women are still disappearing, okay, in Indigenous communities, okay? We have that issue facing Indigenous people, right? Along with, no clean drinking water, right? That's been going on since I was in high school, okay? All right? So pitter patter, time to get at her, okay? The GOV. Speaking of the GOV, okay? When you look back over history, even though they're trying to rewrite it, right? When you look back over history, who was involved in all the oppression that Indigenous face? Well, obviously the white people, right? We were, okay? But who was the common denominator in all of that? The government, okay? All right, those. And going back to the government and going back to our immigration problem that we have, we're bringing in more immigrants and legally asylum seekers than what we can handle, right? So my Indigenous friends, it's looking like you're getting invaded all over again, okay? But it ain't from us white guys. Canada is being invaded all over again, okay? So keep that in mind on National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, okay? That's about as truthful as I can be. So we also have politicians in the House of Commons that have dual citizenship, okay? And we also have all of this election interference, right? But the aren't telling us who, right? And my chicken scratch notes, which I just did over my coffee, okay? All right, so on this National Day of Reconciliation, what does that mean? What does that mean, okay? So we still have no clean drinking water in communities, right? Indigenous people are still losing their voice, still losing their culture, and, I'm sorry, I'm going to get back to finishing Chapter 7, Jody Wilson-Raybould book that we started. I have the audio done from June or July, but then I got busy trying to have some cheap fun. I have the audio done. I have to connect it all, and maybe that's what I'll do today, so expect to see that up real shortly, okay? What does reconciliation look like? Because nothing is really getting done, right? Indigenous people, like Jody talked about, being tokens, okay? A token to prop up the political party. Jody was during her time working with Justin Trudeau, okay? Token. Jody talked about in her book about red meat issues, okay? Red meat issue is well, it's something that the government brings up that is a concern to Canadians. Then they bring it up right before election. They get in and then they do about it. And in Jody's book, and it's apparent from my friends and family that are Indigenous, okay, they're still losing their heritage, guys, okay? They've lost their, their language, their culture, and that just stems back from a couple of decades. And what do we know? Pierre Trudeau, Justin's daddy, was a part of the residential schools that were still going on in the 90s, okay? And ran residential schools back in the 70s, 80s when he was in. And did you know that Pierre was in for 16 years? No wonder everybody in my life said, don't vote Trudeau, his dad wrecked it the first time. Reconciliation, what does that look like? I know quite a few people that are Indigenous and they're trying to get their status and they haven't got their status yet. We're bringing in illegal immigrants and asylum seekers into Canada, and while they're getting put up in hotels and getting everything they want, while Canadians born here living on the streets. People that are trying to get their status, get them status! Because it wasn't that long ago that their mother or their grandparent was put up in residential school. It's what we know, right? Well, what I have seen lately is, well, you know, why aren't Indigenous people more involved in politics? And in Jody Wilson-Raybould's book, she talked about how the Indian Act is very offensive to Indigenous people because it goes back to colonialization, okay? And let's start there. Can we fix that Indian Act? The Indigenous youth out there, you know, you guys really need to focus on your culture, and I know that you are, but you guys, I'd like to see Indigenous people in politics more, but you know, we do have some Indigenous people in politics in the NDP, but they're turning out to be, hey guys, there's in every color of the rainbow, every gender, yada yada yada. Go blind to that though. Just because you're the first to something doesn't mean you're the best to something, okay guys? I'd also like to see more Indigenous people in commercials and TV. It seems like we've gotten real diverse, but I don't see a lot of the Indigenous people involved in any of that stuff. A couple shout outs. Margaret, I saw your comment on that Michelle Ferrari tractor video that I shared, you know, where Michelle Ferrari was plowing up the land. Yeah, that was pretty cool, and I really liked your comment. I will hopefully read it next time. If not, want to give you a shout out now, okay, Margaret? Shelly Welly, thank you for your posts on YouTube videos, and you know, Shelly Welly has had a lot of stuff going on in her life, but you were always on my mind, Shelly. You're always on my mind. And her there, because all that I've posted on Facebook, you guys could do your research, because today I want it to be all about the Indigenous people, friends, okay? Stay true, get to talking, and get to doing your research, okay?